Snow White is the first American feature-length animated movie, 1937. It's one of the most beloved movies of all time.
The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Say it louder so your other eye can hear you.
I'm sorry that the Snow White movie sucked, guys. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry at all that we forced, basically as a company, Daily Wire forced Snow White into production again.
From the moment news broke that Rachel Zegler had lobbed a jaw-dropping 9-figure defamation lawsuit at South Park creators Trey Parker and Matt Stone, Hollywood practically dropped its oat milk latte.
As an actor, you don't get to dictate anything. You don't get to dictate if a film actually happens. You don't get to dictate when it is shot, how it is shot, if you can ever speak about it to the public. You are simply just there to show up and say your lines and look the way they want you to look. That is our job.
This wasn't just another celebrity spat. It was a front row seat to the kind of cultural cage match tailor-made for 2025 headlines. On one side, a rising star still licking the wounds from Disney's Snow White mess. On the other, two professional button pushers who've made a career out of turning sacred pop culture cows into hamburger meat. What started as just another snarky South Park gag suddenly spun into a courtroom saga, turning parody into precedent. Now it's reputation versus roast comedy, and the outcome might say more about modern fame and free speech than anyone bargained for. The firestorm ignited when South Park aired an episode that turned Rachel Zegler's embattled take on Disney's Snow White into a full-on satire. In true Parker and Stone fashion, they cranked the absurdity up to 11, turning every scrap of online controversy into a fever dream. The animated version of Rachel strutted through a pastel-colored kingdom, wielding a smartphone like a royal scepter, firing off hot takes about historical accuracy, studio drama, and social progress. It was a parody masterpiece, complete with a musical number skewering public exhaustion over endless reboots. Fans ate it up, laughing hysterically. Meanwhile, in Los Angeles, the real Rachel watched, her grin slowly evaporating as the animated punches landed a little too close to home. At first, whispers suggested Rachel might just brush it off. After all, South Park had shredded countless celebrities without them ever reaching for a lawyer. But those whispers quickly turned into wishful thinking. Within days, TMZ splashed a headline across its homepage: Rachel Zegler weighs $100 million lawsuit over South Park episode. The industry initially assumed it was all just posturing, a way to grab a public apology and save face. But as the lawsuit unfolded, it became clear that this was more than a well-aimed PR stunt. Rather than backing down, Rachel's legal team came out swinging, filing a lawsuit that accused South Park of intentionally tanking her career by painting her as an entitled diva, responsible for Disney's Snow White disaster. The complaint claimed Parker and Stone crossed the line from parody to full-blown character assassination, putting all the blame for the movie's flop squarely on her shoulders. The legal papers pointed to animation sequences suggesting Rachel had personally drained production funds, including a jab about budget snacks costing a casual $40 million. According to her camp, these weren't just jokes, they were malicious falsehoods. The lawsuit went on to claim that the episode's aftermath saw casting offers dry up, with one studio allegedly using the South Park portrayal as a reason to put a pause on any potential deals. For Rachel's team, that was the smoking gun proving the real financial damage. The news of the lawsuit broke just as Parker and Stone were finishing up a writers' meeting at their Culver City headquarters. Staffers later recounted how phones buzzed in perfect unison, lighting up with notifications from Variety and Deadline. The two creators exchanged a look that was part annoyance, part amusement. They'd been through it all before. Lawsuits from religious groups, cease and desist letters from sensitive corporations, even protests outside Comedy Central's offices. But never before had an individual actor demanded such a jaw-dropping sum in damages. The writers' room erupted into nervous laughter when one of them quipped, "Well, guess we're finally worth $100 million apiece." Behind all the jokes, Trey and Matt couldn't ignore the gravity of the situation. They knew the media landscape had changed drastically since South Park first hit the airwaves in 1997, when pushing boundaries felt safer hidden behind the late-night cable veil. Now, every joke landed on social media within seconds, reaching an audience far larger and far more polarized than their original fan base. If the court ruled that their Snow White parody crossed the line into defamation, it could shake not just future episodes, but also their massive deal with Paramount+, rumored to be worth nearly $1 billion across multiple spin-off movies. What started as a satirical jab was suddenly facing a legal test that could have far-reaching consequences. Public opinion split along familiar lines. Social media users who saw Rachel as the victim of online bullying applauded her move, calling it brave to stand up against what they dubbed unchecked animation harassment. On the other side, fans of Trey and Matt rallied behind the duo as the last bastion of unapologetic humor, coining the hashtag number "non-satire is not slander." Late-night hosts took shots at the princess versus paper cutout battle, while legal analysts flocked to cable news to debate whether a cartoon could really be considered a factual statement. At South Park Studios, Trey and Matt huddled in a strategy session that stretched long into the night. Their first instinct? Turn the whole thing into a piece of content. After all, the show had a history of self-referential episodes that turned their scandals into fodder, but their lawyers quickly shot that idea down, warning that any on-air response could be seen as retaliatory, or worse, as proof of ongoing harm. For once, the pair, known for gleefully poking the bear, decided to take a step back and stay silent, at least for the immediate aftermath. Of course, the temptation to fire back with humor didn't exactly disappear. Behind closed doors, they started drafting comedic sketches, a puppet court where animated versions of themselves testified under oath, a musical number titled "Sue Me Gently," and a spoof of courtroom sketches drawn by intentionally terrible artists. These drafts stayed locked away for now, but the urge to unleash them only grew stronger with time. Meanwhile, word started to spread about Rachel's mental state. Friends claimed she was riding a roller coaster of determination and exhaustion, convinced that if she didn't take a stand now, she'd soon become Hollywood's latest easy punchline. For her, the lawsuit wasn't just about cash, it was a message to producers and directors that she wasn't going to let herself be the target of every joke. Critics, however, scoffed, suggesting she was overreacting to a single satirical scene. After all, legends like Tom Cruise, Kanye West, and even the Queen of England had taken far nastier hits from South Park without batting an eye. Supporters, however, shot back that those figures had decades-long careers, with fan bases that were less susceptible to meme-driven outrage. Rachel, on the other hand, was still in the early stages of her career, and the wrong kind of portrayal could do lasting damage. As the case moved through the Los Angeles Superior Court docket, Parker and Stone finally broke their silence. But true to their style, it wasn't with a fiery press conference or media blitz. Instead, they released a brief two-sentence statement. "We believe strongly in the right to parody public figures and public events. We look forward to a vigorous defense of that right." The no-nonsense brevity of their message signaled that they weren't about to get bogged down in the mud. They intended to argue on principle, not throw personal punches. What do you think of this drama? Let us know in the comment section. And don't forget to subscribe Celebrity Insider News and press the bell icon for more celebrity gossips. Thanks for watching.